This is The Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. Each episode, we sit down with colleagues, leaders, and changemakers to share stories and lessons from the field of community and economic development. Together, we explore how communications shapes strategy, builds trust, and drives momentum, because every project, every partnership, every breakthrough begins the same way, with a conversation. Hello, and welcome to The Comms Exchange. I'm Rachel Ledet.
And I'm Christianne Brunini.
And today we are joined by Melissa Warren, who is a senior advisor and market leader for Stirling Properties in the greater New Orleans area, and one of the leading voices shaping the commercial real estate conversations throughout the Gulf South.
Melissa is a certified commercial investment member, a past president of NOMAR CID, and a driving force behind the NAIOP Gulf Coast Chapter, which is quickly becoming one of the fastest growing in the country. She's about to take her leadership to the National NAIOP Board, representing our region on a larger scale.
And her work spans brokerage, site selection, investment strategy, and something that really stands out to us is her commitment to advocacy and collaboration with all of the different people who are working towards economic development. The builders, connecting the developers, the civic leaders, and really trying to glue together economic development across the Gulf South.
We're going to talk about how she built a career that blends technical expertise with relationship-driven leadership, and why advocacy, mentorship, and industry collaboration matter more now than ever.
So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today on the Comms Exchange. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be selected and be in good company with you and Chris.
You spent more than 2 decades in commercial real estate. What first sparked your interest in the field, and when did you realize that leadership and advocacy would become central to your work?
26 years ago, originally from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, from Gulfport, and I was working as a political consultant. And one of my donors, Lenny Sawyer, with NAI Sawyer Commercial, back then it was Sawyer Real Estate, met me through many fundraisers and everything. And he said, Melissa, with everything that you have in your power keg, which you're networking through, you would be great in commercial real estate. And so I gave it some thought, and I ended a big campaign for the mayor of Biloxi. And then I decided, I think this might be a good move. So I went and got my real estate license, and he hired me, and the rest is history. That's what got me started.
Sometimes it just takes someone pitching an idea, right? And then you end up decades later finding a new path that you took. That's awesome. We would love to talk about NAIOP, which is a kind of total economic driver for commercial real estate in the commercial development industry. As we said, the newest chapter, the Gulf Coast chapter of NAIOP, has become one of the fastest growing in the country, which is really exciting. What was the catalyst for starting the chapter here, and how have you and your team and your board really kind of gotten that momentum going?
I was a member of NAIOP, which is the Commercial Real Estate Development Association in the United States. It expands all the way up into Canada and also down into Mexico. So we have people from, both Northern and Central America, as well as the majority of members are in the United States. So I joined NAIOP because I was really looking for an avenue to introduce my career to more development-minded business, and specifically industrial, while the Commercial Development Association does expand across 14 different types of development. Industrial is what I was looking for. And so I joined. I would go to national meetings and, be there networking with people. But when I joined as an at-large member because there was not a chapter to be a part of. And after going, to a few meetings and networking and getting to know people, I realized that there was an opportunity for the Gulf Coast, specifically Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama coastal communities, to elevate their economic development to just a higher visibility in terms of national developers who develop around port-related facilities, who develop, in big cities and do data centers and come in and do cold storage, mixed-use development. And so once I realized that, I was like, we should start our own chapter. So I actually went and talked to Mark Selvatelli about that. I reached out to him. He's the president of NAIOP, and he came in and he was like, yeah, you know what, Melissa, I think that we're going to be real interested in opening a chapter down there. So my colleague at the time, Mac Bauer, and I ended up meeting with them and formulating just what the skeleton would look like to start building out this body, which would become NAIOP Gulf Coast. And it was really pretty easy to get everyone involved in all the, when you go and you look at our board online and you see who all is there, it's just a really good smattering of industry leaders that are anywhere from architects, engineers, economic development people, developers themselves, and brokers. Bringing them all together, there was a need to put together the chain links of development and everything from, a principal owner of property to a broker to a developer to an engineer and an architect, because we really don't have a canopy where all those people come under the tent together to connect the industry from A to Z. And that is how everything was born, and where our board really came together was because everybody has the same desire, the same need, and there was the same void in the community.
It's so interesting that industrial was what really brought you to this group. You and I share the same, we both started boards. We both started the chapter of our boards in our areas. And yesterday, Rachel and I were at a clay shoot for our industry. And I'm just curious, now that you have formed your local regional board and you're perhaps stepping into the national realm, what topics, what advocacy avenues do you have in mind? What is really motivating you and driving you right now?
Well, when you talk about advocacy on a national level, and I think what you're referring to is that I've been offered a position and I've taken a position on the national board for NAIOP, the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. We provide advocacy through our volunteer and our membership, volunteer members, basically on a federal level, both in Canada, in the United States, and then on a state level, all the way down into the municipal level. And NAIOP actually provides staff that will come down and help you on a local level, on a state level, and then on a national level. And we participate with them as well. So some of the big issues that you're going to see, NAIOP pushing for nationally are going to be adaptive reuse, energy and electricity, which we have some issues with in manufacturing right now, and meeting that capacity with respect to data centers. They are just a big demand on electricity. So we are working with, our local chapters to source information on what challenges that we are seeing on state levels, municipal levels, and even up on a national level, so that we can advocate on all three of those layers for, energy and electricity policy. And then tax policy, which is what a lot of other groups do advocate for. However, ours is more specifically into the development arena. And then, on a state level, I think that we're probably going to be looking at some of these policies in terms of the state level. We've got the new Meta data center coming in. We have a lot of manufacturers who are coming in needing power. How do we get that power to them? And so we'll be working statewide on those advocacy needs as we go into the spring session this year and go to the Capitol and do some advocacy here in Louisiana. We have great partnerships in Mobile through the Mobile Chamber and sourcing a lot of the research and data that they pull there and advocating on their needs. We also have a Birmingham chapter. And so in Alabama, we have a unique opportunity to join two chapters together and work together in terms of that advocacy. But very specifically here to New Orleans, which is one of the cities in our Gulf Coast group, we have some ballot measures that are coming up on the November 14th election. And there are three propositions, and we're going to be issuing a white paper on these propositions, encouraging the vote for two of the propositions, which have to do with infrastructure and bond money that's going to be going to, development, redevelopment, and sustaining and replacing infrastructure in the area, more specifically drainage that is impacting our community. And when you've got good, strong policy and bond measures that are backing up developers when they come into the market and want to build, and then you've also got, that creates the tax base that makes everything healthy in terms of your financial environment, which we desperately need in New Orleans right now. However, also you've got the people in the community. And so this particular ballot measure is literally Proposition 3 that's coming down is literally going to impact drainage, taking water off the streets, creating more sustainable areas for people to live. When you've got just some of that flooding that happens during heavy raining and downpours, we are literally going to be, if this does get passed, it's going to put money into this infrastructure and help the viability of the community. So that's when development meets residential, commercial and residential. And we really believe in those measures. So be on the lookout for, the paper that we're going to publish, in the next coming days.
Well, that's interesting because in true economic development, it's not just about building buildings or building data
Mhm.
centers or, um, brand new hotels, but we're trying to better the lives of the people who live there too. And certainly throughout Greater New Orleans, as you said, anytime it rains more than, what is it, 4 or 5 inches, there's flooding problems in certain areas because of the rainwater capture and where it's flowing. Taking care of our citizens is an important part of being a responsible steward. And so I love just mentioning that. And I am looking forward to reading the white paper that comes out. That kind of leads nicely into the next question about collaboration, because collaboration in practice really means that you're tapping into local leaders. You're bringing in water engineers, you're bringing in urban planners and designers and the people who are going to invest in the areas. This is really sort of a circle of the links in the chain, as you said earlier. How do you see collaboration for NAIOP on the national level, but more specifically in our region, just city to city, of how we're kind of pulling in maybe a greater view, like the port conversation, and also between the different expertise areas like builders, developers, bankers, planners, and things like that?
On the collaboration front, that really goes back to why we even founded this chapter, was because, we all live along the neckline of the coast of the Gulf, here. And so we are all impacted by hurricanes. We're impacted by insurance rates. We share a lot of the same needs, even though we have Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama all here. We are more related to each other as we go along the I-10 corridor than we are to our, the balance of our states north of us. So this advocacy is extremely important in lifting that region up. And I would say, number one, insurance policy, how we can adopt measures that we can collaborate on in writing that policy, where it's successful, where it's, maybe failing, and how we can do it better, and learning from our neighbors and sharing, legislation and ideas in order to get over that. But also collaborating, the biggest thing that I've seen is through our economic development groups like GNO Inc., JEDCO, St. Tammany Parish Corp., the Greater Baton Rouge Development Association, which was BRAC. They've helped tremendously with their research. Mobile Chamber has really contributed through their research and advocacy. So they basically feed us, in terms of information. We've also been going to BGR, which is the Bureau of Governmental Research here in New Orleans. They wrote a really good paper on these 3 propositions that are coming out, and so did GNO Inc. And sometimes you'll find that they agree, or maybe they've got reasons for endorsing or reasons that they don't. And we keep ourselves very informed on that research. And it's very important to align and collaborate and meet with these people and these leaders who are doing this research, and keeping ourselves informed, because what we are doing in turn is informing our members, and our members are informing us to send information back to them. So it is a conduit that the alignment creates in terms of sharing ideas and ways that we may need to move forward on policy and advocacy.
If anyone wants to catch up with what NAIOP Gulf Coast is doing right now, Melissa, what's the best way for them to just see what's happening, upcoming events, white papers, anything like that? Where should they go find out?
You can go to our website, which is at NAIOP Gulf Coast, and go to that website, or you can follow us on social media, which is NAIOP Gulf Coast as well. And we have everything posted on our website, all of our events, market research, what we're collaborating on in terms of policy and legislation. You'll also find what's going on federally. Members of our board are going to be going to DC in February to go to the Capitol and meet with our legislators up there. And, Louisiana has a very good contingency, so very strong. We're excited about meeting with them, and we're going to see what else we can do with Mississippi and Alabama in terms of meeting those partners. But yes, you can just go to our website or follow us on social media, which is where we have a lot of our information posted quite readily, and it's always very, very fresh.
You got to this place through mentorship. Someone tapped you and suggested that you were a good fit. And the type of collaboration that you're doing now requires a lot of confidence and a lot of technical knowledge and skill. What kind of advice and mentorship would you give women in particular trying to join the development or commercial development community?
Well, I would say that really keep an eye out for those women who are coming up, who are younger, who are coming up and just need to have that fostering and that mentoring. But also you may find people who are even closer to your age that need to reach out on certain matters or certain issues, and they kind of need some guidance and checking in with your expertise. I've got people in my company that I reach out to all the time. I think about Donna Smith, who's one of our owners, who's a phenomenal leader, and she's a past president of Crew and, a member of Crew. Rhonda Shakawi, also a member of Crew, our director of retail and development for retail. And those are people that I use as sounding boards all the time. And Erlene Sawyer, who was my broker in Mississippi when I went with Sawyer Real Estate, was really one of the first people who just really took me under her wing and guided me as a professional. And there are also several men, that saw me and are just good men, because I think about Lenny Sawyer. I think about Doug Molyneux. I think about Barry Spicer over at SRSA, who was absolutely incredible, and Marty Meyer, who was in our president CEO of Stirling for years. Always great at recognizing women, seeing women, and elevating women. And it takes a good man to elevate a woman and see a woman. And I'm very grateful to all those men, and my father, who was always an advocate for me and women's sports, and creating that confidence through supporting me and not hearing no for an answer, but finding a way around things. And so, as you mentor people, I think it's really important not to just pigeonhole women with women, open them up to who is going to lift you up, who is going to give you that confidence, and who's going to support you, because it's not always just someone who is in your gender or your race or whatever, So I look right now to who our national president is of NAIOP, and this is someone who is extremely important in the forefront of commercial real estate development, and it's Celeste Tanner, who is in Denver, Colorado. She's the president and chief development officer of Confluent Development, and she sits as our national chair this year. Actually born and raised in Santa Monica, Louisiana, but this is some in development. I mean, commercial real estate, you do see some women, but in development, you don't see as many. And I think you need to go find people who are in, if you're looking at being mentored or you need some advice, go find those people who are in these positions, because people who get elevated to that level and achieve that greatness don't get there, by not helping others and not seeing others. They get there because they work, as a team member. And so, I think in terms of mentoring people, you just need to be able to see the opportunity there, the desire in them, and help fuel whatever it is, the spark that is living in them, and try to fan that fire and keep them going. So that's my 2 cents on mentoring and bringing people up.
Whether or not it's a man or a woman, having allies that are really looking out for you, whether or not you're in the room, is so important for making that next step. And finding those allies is one of the best ways to do that, is by joining organizations like NAIOP, like Crew, because then you're bringing together people who have shared values and interests. And so it's helpful to find the allies and mentors.
Yes, that's what they call being in the right room, right? Where you're with people who are learning and educating and sharing and are open and vulnerable in that way, because then we all can grow and expand. We would love to talk about the forward-looking plan for our Gulf Coast real estate community, and we'd love to get your idea of what progress would really look like in the next 5 years in terms of advocacy, diversity, and economic resilience.
Well, as it goes along the Gulf Coast in terms of this chapter and what we're talking about, I would like to see in 5 years that we really have thriving members and people along the coast of Mississippi and in Mobile and Lafayette and in Baton Rouge. It'd be great if we could see Lake Charles, on that map as well. We do cover those areas literally from Baldwin County all the way to Lake Charles is where the chapter goes. In terms of economic resilience, it depends on where you are. Mobile is on fire. Mobile is doing really great things through their port, through their Airbus, operations there, and through their new airport that they're bringing in. And you just can't say enough about how well economic development has done in Mobile. And in Mississippi, they have some huge wins as well. They're doing great there, especially in the Jackson area, and with what all they've landed in terms of call centers and data centers and things like that. And in Louisiana, I think that we are on a good trajectory. We have just pivoted, I would say, as a state in terms of economic development. We have very good leadership up in LED. And as always, Michael Heck and his team, his whole team, have been great leaders in the community and just literally led the charge. And they are doing everything humanly possible to help advocate for economic development and help us establish some resilience here. When you look specifically in New Orleans, I would like to say that we are at a pivotal moment. We have just elected Helena Moreno as mayor, and I have a lot of trust in her and confidence in her. She has a big ship with a lot of holes in it to turn around and get sailing again. I know she can do it, but it's going to be a tall order. She's completely up to the job, but we've got to find the money. We've got to get the budget under control. And I know that she's the person to do it. And it's going to take a full team to get that pulled together. However, we've got some challenges and we need to overcome them. So I would love to see New Orleans stabilized and thriving with a great permit department, building process and application process, which is something that we are intending to fully take on. And have our door open to work with the mayor and her administration in any way to revamp the Department of Permits in the city of New Orleans. And we know that we can get there. So ideally 5 years from now, actually 8 years from now, I hope she's a 2-term mayor, we see New Orleans back and thriving and people loving again where they live and what they're doing. But along the coast is just positioned very well with its Gulf assets and its ports. And we need to leverage those ports and really build around them and continue to grow and see this economic resilience thrive, especially with our new Louisiana International Terminal that hopefully will be coming in down in St. Bernard. We're getting very, very close to that. And that is going to have a very big watershed impact on the community. And I look forward to seeing that getting done. Our partners over at the port, who's also a huge supporter of NAIOP Gulf Coast, we're excited for them, and we talk to them all the time, and they're also contributors to a lot of the information that we have and share with our membership.
Well, we interviewed Zach Smith a few weeks ago on one of our recent episodes about permitting and zoning and just making things more equitable for people to be progressive. And so our listeners can go back and hear that one. And then Michael Heck, who is also a dear friend, is going to be on an upcoming episode. And I think not only is he entertaining, but he has the leadership mentality of pulling everyone together to get things done. And so I think that is a nice theme for what we've been talking about today.
GNO Inc. has been a very big supporter from day one of NAIOP Gulf Coast. We've only been around for 1 year. We just hit our anniversary. We're 100 members strong. Great support from them, and we are very grateful for Michael and his team and their support. We're also extremely grateful for Zach because Zach is a member of NAIOP. We borrow a lot of what he writes when we're working into our advocacy, and he's going to be working in our governmental affairs committee and probably at a higher position on that in terms of a co-chair. We're hoping that we'll get that pushed through pretty soon. So yeah, we have a lot of collaboration and alignment with both of those individuals, and you know exactly why, because they get things done and they know what they're talking about.
Yes, that's great. Well, that is a foreshadowing of great things to come for NAIOP and for our region. So we love to hear all of those things. We are now going to move into the rapid fire questions portion of our call with you today. So there's short answers only, no overthinking, but these aren't too hard. I promise. They'll just be some quick answers for a little bit of fun.
So just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this one's easy. Early bird or late night owl when it comes to getting deals done?
Early bird, no doubt.
So are we, annoyingly so.
Yes, 6 a.m. We're already getting ready for the day, getting it fired off. If you weren't in commercial real estate, what would you be doing?
Gosh, I think I would probably love to be in archaeology or etymology in some way, you know. So, yeah, those are two things that I'm very passionate about and I read about when I'm not, in real estate.
Interesting.
She's a science gal.
Yes, she is.
Okay, so what is one word that your colleagues would use to describe your leadership style?
Probably fairly aggressive, I would think. But in a positive, I would hope in a positive way. It's just always the next thing and always pushing. I do just, we've got a very, very good board, and they've done a miraculous lift this past year. And I want to thank each and every one of them. It's not me, it's a group.
Well, let's hear them.
No, go for it.
Okay.
We'll have a stage for them right now and clap for them. Okay.
So we've got Robert Bronstein out of Gulf Distributing in Mobile. He is our president-elect, and he's basically our head guy in Mobile who's pulling everyone together over there. And we have Stephen Scullin with Carver Darden, and he's basically our attorney who's on the board and does a lot in the energy sector in terms of, solar and energy. And so his efforts segue a lot with what NAIOP does. And so he's our secretary. We have Janet Galati, who is with Greater Baton Rouge Economic Development, or formerly BRAC. She's our treasurer and watches our money for us, but also just erupts with amazing ideas constantly. And she's just great to be around. We also have Christian Saunier, who's over membership for us, and he is pretty much solely responsible for growing our membership to where it's been today, and has been a phenomenal leader on every level, in our board. And we have Bryce French, who he works on our finance committee. He's with CB Richard Ellis. He does a lot of, we've served on boards in the past with the commercial investment division at NOMAR. Both of us are past presidents there, and he was really pivotal in helping getting this chapter off the ground as well. Joel Ross with Woodward Design Build is our guru behind everything programming. And I mean, this man's mind, he's an architect. It's phenomenal. And whenever he puts something together, it is absolutely amazing to look at his questions that he puts together and how he runs a program and gets things done. And then we have Grady Fitzpatrick, who is over business development for G&O Inc. We're very fortunate to have him on the board, and excited to have him with us as well. And then we have Evan Scroggs with Lee and Associates, and he really is the brainchild behind our Baton Rouge group, and we've had great success with him. He led off our advocacy committee and is now going to bring, as I said, Zach Smith on. Zach's not on our board, but he's going to be a powerful player with Evan as we usher, advocacy into 2026 and beyond.
That's quite a list of names. And I know that everyone has played a part in making the chapter so successful in the last year. And I aspire to have people say that I've moved with aggression. So I think that is a great one-word answer.
Yeah,
and I think,
yeah. I would say passion. How about that? Let's just
okay, we'll edit. We'll edit to passion. But, here's the thing. Is that it would not have been possible to do all that was done in the last year without a sense of momentum and force. And so whether you'll claim it or not, I'm going to give it to you, because we have seen just sort of this all hands on deck. 12 months is not a long time, and there's just been so much movement. So passion and a little bit of force are probably two ingredients into this potion that is going on over here with NAIOP Gulf Coast. But we definitely congratulate you. We have one more last rapid fire question, and it is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give your younger self just starting out in this industry?
Be patient. It's all going to work out. Don't worry as much as you did over the years, and just have confidence and faith that it's all going to come full circle, and that whatever you're sowing is going to blossom and bloom, and it's just going to be relax and enjoy the moment. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and enjoy those you work with, and just lean into it. So that's what I would tell myself. And it just takes a lot of patience. So patience, my friend.
Is advice that we would all benefit from, certainly, and being able to be present in the moment, not being anxious about the future, is so key to enjoying your life and being present with your friends and family. So thank you for that.
And another thing I want to, say is that the way to make something very successful is to surround make that team diverse, make that team, different kinds of thinkers, and to be sure you're attacking it from every angle, where you really have a good 360-degree perspective. I do want to say one of the best decisions that our board ever made was hiring 3090. And without 3090, we would not be where we are today. And I say that with every bit of endorsement from our board, because I was actually sitting with 4 board members last night, and we all just talked about how incredible 3090 has been, and selecting a marketing company that really does know how to do business and how to follow up on things is so essential, because there are a lot of people out there trying to do it and they're not quite doing it right, and they're charging a lot of money for it. And 3090 is definitely where you should be putting your money and your time and your faith. So I want to thank y'all for everything that you do for our chapter.
Thank you for saying that. That's so generous and kind. And you're not our only organization that we represent. And so thank you for sharing that, because I think most people who work in industry organizations don't realize the impact that marketing can have on helping spread the good news about the work that you're doing. When you're doing it in a dark and quiet room, it's hard to get the support that you need and the other people in the room that really need to be there to share those voices when you're shouting into the dark. So thank you for sharing that for other people who might be considering that or need that advice. It was so amazing to have you today. It was so much fun. Congratulations on your appointment at the board. Congratulations on everything that you have done this last year. I have had the benefit of being in the room and having witnessed your ability to really keep control and keep things on track. And so I can certainly, it's all a credit to your leadership. I'm sure that the board has gotten where it has this year. So congrats to you.
Thank you. It takes a team. That is for sure.
Yes,
And sponsors who have really helped us. So
yes, we must mention the sponsors.
It takes a village, right?
Yes, we have a lot of sponsors that we're very, very grateful for. And when we didn't have much money, the first thing that we did was we hired 3090. So with every penny we had, just about. So
well, we think it was a good investment. We think that was a good investment. Exactly. And we have had a ton of fun. Yes, it's been work and there's been a lot of strategy and execution, but we've had a lot of fun just learning and growing and witnessing, as Christianne said, all that's happening, and really just getting to strengthen our own networking among the commercial real estate development sphere, because it only benefits us as marketers to be in the room with people who are doing great things and to continue learning what advocacy even really means in this industry. And so we appreciate our involvement as well. It's really sweet of you to say that. And we just can't thank you enough for being on our show today, and appreciate all that you've done for us and with us. And we know we'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Until next time, please continue being on the Comms Exchange. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Comms Exchange, a podcast by 3090 Marketing. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on an exciting new episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies from the field, because every breakthrough begins with a conversation.